out what to do with your life is hard. Figuring out what I want to do? Pretty much impossible. So I'm just talking to people who actually have a clue. If that's you too, welcome. I'm your host, Sanvi, and this is Career Connect. Today we have our guest speaker here, Chief Josh Jones. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Josh Jones. I'm the Chief of Police for the Troy Police Department. I got that position just a year ago, the day after Christmas last year, so December 26, 2024. So it's a brand new position for me, and and it's also my very first podcast. So a new position at work and my first time on a podcast. I'm super excited. Thank you for having me.
Must be exciting. We're lucky to have you. So what exactly do you do? What does a day in your life typically look like?
Yeah, fair question. One I get actually a lot. We do some tours around the station and people will come by my office, and that's like one of the first questions, like, what does a chief of police do? And really, it's kind of a unique spot. I get the opportunity to, I started my career as a police officer on the road in a police car like you see all the time. And as I progress through and you get promoted, you have less and less of that actual job. And now as the chief of police, my job is to oversee the entire department. So from our non-sworn staff to our sworn police officers, our dispatchers, our budget, every little thing that you can think that it takes to run a police department in a city is kind of what I'm in charge of. So although thankfully I have a lot of help and I don't have to do all those little things, I really am in charge of overseeing all of it. So to kind of answer more directly, like what my day-to-day is, I have a nice, comfortable office. I come in and I do a lot of my work from there. It's a lot of paperwork and going to meetings and meeting with people and trying to make sure that we're on track for all of our department goals, like our hiring, making sure our finances are in order. So obviously it's important that we only spend the amount of money that the city says we can spend. So those are the things that I do day to day. And then also I think it's most important that I manage our people. So although hard for me because I am busy with other stuff, I really try to make it a priority to make sure I'm managing the people and talking to our people and making sure that our officers and our sworn and our non-sworn staff and everybody that works in our building has access to me and they can come and talk to me. And I go out and talk to them and find out what's going on in our department in that manner.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. So what is the education or path you had to complete to get to this point?
So I did go to Western Michigan University. I'm a Bronco. I got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I minored in social psychology. That was my path. And then as part of that at Western Michigan, I was lucky enough to go to the police academy as part of my bachelor's program. So when I graduated, not only did I have a bachelor's degree, but I was certified by the state of Michigan to be a police officer. So I had already gone to a police academy while I was there.
Wow, head start.
Yeah, and it really was. I started in, so I graduated from Western Michigan in late 98 and started in Troy in February of 2000. That was a much different time in police hiring than it is today. A very competitive workforce, very few jobs available, and a lot of applicants applying for all those jobs. So it was not uncommon for me to sit in a room with 200 people and take a test for 3 or 4 positions at a police department. So very competitive. That is not how it is today. But that bachelor's degree and police academy already under my belt really did give me a leg up on getting a job. And I ended up having a couple choices from a couple different police departments that I could kind of pick where I wanted to go. And I picked Troy and really couldn't have made a better choice.
So you had your education and then you talked about having to try for 3 or 4 positions at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So is that how you really got there from your education, how you got to your job? What was the journey there? What did it look like?
Again, for me, and I think this would be different for for a lot of people, but also the same for a lot of people too. I really early in my life kind of decided what I wanted to do. So for me, it was easy. That career choice was made when I was really a young child, and I just never let it go. It was kind of a dream that I had as a young kid, and then followed through with it all the way through college. And just to go back on the education thing, I got a bachelor's degree, but back then it wasn't required in it, and for many departments it's not required today. Even in Troy, we only require an associate's degree or 2 years of college, or even we'll take military equivalent of that. So although I had a 4-year degree, it's not necessarily required. It may not even be the right choice or the best way to go, especially now today where the job market's opened up quite a bit in law enforcement. You can definitely get a 2-year degree and walk right into a law enforcement job in many places, and sometimes even a GED. So that's kind of it leaves or allows for a really wide variety of people to go into law enforcement that we also are encouraging, because we want a wide variety of people to come in. You don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree. But back to the other question about what it looked like for me. Again, I had that desire and career goal very, very early on for me personally. So it was just kind of following through and going through the steps and putting myself in a good position to get hired by a good police department, which, luckily I was able to do. So yeah, for me, it was just kind of a lifelong career goal, and I've kind of followed that path all the way through my childhood into early adulthood until I achieved that goal.
Do you think networking or resume/talent matters more to get into law enforcement?
So either or, networking or resume?
Yeah. Which one do you think matters more?
Matters more, right. I would say resume/talent would be more important than networking. And the reason I say that is because there is going to be, you have to put yourself in a good position to be able to be hired. There's thorough background checks in law enforcement, and how you kind of lived your life up to that point when you apply is going to matter when you go and put your application in at any department. Now, how much it matters will vary on the department, the size of the department, and the where they're at in the hiring process. But I think your resume overall and what you've done to prepare, and kind of more how your life resume has went will matter more than networking.
Yeah. Right. Awesome. I know that you enjoy your job a lot. What do you say are the best parts of your job?
For me, what I always enjoyed about being a police officer is every day was different. You come into work and it's never going to be the same. It can get boring sometimes when it's slow, sure, but also you have the ability to go make your own, I guess, fun. Even on those slow, cold winter nights, if you get too sleepy or too bored, because I worked a lot of midnight shifts, you can make a game out of it and go around town and make sure you're checking on all your buildings, and just do different things to make it interesting. And then when you get too tired, you go in and you can stop in a 7-Eleven and grab a cup of coffee. And honestly, we would meet there, and I did that almost every night. It was kind of like a very fun ritual, was to stop in and visit the 7-Eleven clerk at 16 or Big Beaver and Crooks, and see how his night was going and spend 10 minutes talking to him. And his name was Cameron Butt. He was an awesome guy. He's since passed away, R.I.P. But me and another officer would go in there every night. And it's stuff like that. It's little connections. I would have never known him or heard about his immigration when he came to the United States, and he was taught me a lot about his country, and stuff like that I would have never had the opportunity to do had I not been in that position at that time. And as a police officer, you have that opportunity, even as a road patrol, mostly as a road patrol officer, to make connections with people across the city that you get to learn a lot about, and you get as much out of it as you put into it. And that was something I enjoyed as a police officer, was being able to make those connections and meet the people around our city, and not just people I work with, but in the community.
Yeah. It's those little moments that make it worth it, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But there's also some disadvantages. So what are the worst parts of your job, you would say?
There are some hard days. There can be hard days as a police officer and hard moments. Some of the calls that you go on can be pretty heartbreaking, especially for me and a lot of officers, the ones that deal with tragedy of young people, young adults or young kids. Those can be the toughest ones. And we've historically, as I got into it, we didn't do a good job of taking care of our officers and making sure that they had the resources that they needed to handle those tougher calls. That's something that we've done, I believe, done immensely, 1,000 times better than what we were doing before. So a lot of those trials and the hard times were lessons learned as we went along. We did get better at it, but it can be hard dealing with tragedy, and oftentimes the police are called to somebody's house on their very worst day. So you're meeting people not at their best, and that can be difficult because you're dealing with tragedy and situations like that. So on those calls, it's hard, and I would say that's the hardest part about being a police officer. And then secondary, the working any shift work, it can be hard on your family. It can be hard on your kids, your loved ones, your wives, husbands.
Yeah, the strain of that.
Right. And even your extended family, like your parents, your grandparents, and all those things when, if you have to miss a holiday or you get called into work in an opportune time. It's happened to all of us that work shift work. And that's more, like I said, a byproduct of working 24 hours, 7 days a week. Police department doesn't close on Christmas. So, you may get called in and have to deal with something on that, those days when it's not convenient.
So you mentioned that you used to be on the field. Which one did you like better, the field or what you do now? And what are the differences?
Definitely out in the police car doing that job was much more
exhilarating.
Well, yeah, that for sure. Just more fun. When I was growing up, and like I mentioned, I had this goal for a long time. I didn't really picture myself sitting in an office talking about what kind of blankets we need to order for the jail, or, you know what I mean? Or trying to figure out how to save some money on our budget the next year and still get some of the equipment that, I think we need to have. So all of those things that it takes to manage a police department aren't the fun stuff, for sure. The most, but it's important, of course.
Yeah, but they're necessary but menial. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So the fun stuff was definitely, in the early years coming into work and going out in the car and going to doing that something different every day and meeting different people and handling and solving problems. That's really that was really what I think what draws a lot of law enforcement officers to police work is people that like to solve problems and solve puzzles. It's kind of that every day. So yeah, that was definitely better.
Well, your job absolutely sounds captivating, and I think for the right people, they'd love to go into it. What's one piece of advice you would give to people who want to go into the field?
It's important that there are going to be there's background checks and all these things. And if it's something that you think that you have a passion for, or even maybe you don't have a passion for it now, but you think it might be a fit for your personality or a job that you just want to try out, it is important that you live your life leading up to that in a way that isn't going to preclude you in the future. Unfortunately, I see I'm part of the hiring process, and I see some opportunities that are missed because of just bad, silly mistakes that people make. We're all human, and I wasn't some perfect child growing up. And there is an element to time and distance, right? Like, I was in high school and made silly mistakes when I was in high school. I kind of got it figured out and was able to achieve my goal. So I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but you should live your life do the right thing for the right reasons and treat people well, and ultimately it's going to work out for you.
Yeah. I think for you, another thing that really helped was deciding early on, right? I think for anyone, because then you can tailor the way you live to that.
Correct. I agree with you. It did help. I think I was at an advantage. But I would say for everyone, all high school kids and even younger, if you treat people well and you live by the golden rule, I guess, treat people how you expect to be or want to be treated, and you just do the right thing for the right reasons going forward, that's going to set you up for success in the future at any job, not just law enforcement, but corporate America is the same way. They don't want to look back at your Instagram account and see all these bad choices that you made.
General rule, be kind.
Exactly.
So let's close this off strong. We really appreciate you having been here today. What's one word that you would leave behind to describe your entire job?
One word to describe my entire job or career. That's a really tough question. You gave me a hint that I might have to answer it, but man, it's hard to think on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
I think a good descriptor, what I would want a good descriptor of law enforcement to be is compassion. Compassion will go a long way in our job and what we do, not just with the people that, in all walks of life. So compassion for your family and giving grace and understanding the pressures that you're putting them through. And then most importantly, probably the compassion for the people that you are helping, because that's what police work is really all about when you boil it down, is helping other people. And then also compassion for the people that you work with. And if you have that drive and the compassion in your heart, then you're really going to be a great police officer and somebody that your community can be proud of.
That's honestly amazing. I think it encapsulates your job in such a beautiful way.
A little bit different than, I think the direction that you could go, but I think important and one that captures a wider range of.
I think it's the foundation, right? It's a little bit unexpected because I know a lot of people want to get into this job to boss people around, but it's not all that, and I love how you showed that. So thank you again for coming on here today. You're an amazing guest speaker, and you're an amazing police chief.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chief Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I do have, I don't know if you want, I have a little Troy PD swag for you as well. So I'll actually give it. The couple of them are just pretty boring. You got a boring coffee mug, and you have a boring Troy Police pen, and a pretty cool keychain that has our badge on it.
Oh, man, wow.
But what I wanted to share with you most is this is one of our challenge coins. So if you're not familiar with challenge coins, they're really based in military service where different units would mint coins, and then they would each keep them. Each member would get one and keep them with them, and then you could challenge an officer or a member of your unit if they had it with them or didn't have it with them. And there's different things you can do with that. But law enforcement kind of stole it from the military, and that's our most current one. And I wanted to give you that because I appreciate you having me on and kind of sharing what law enforcement is all about with the kids in the Troy School District.
It's really important, the work you do. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So thank you for tuning in, everybody. This was amazing. See you next time.